Okay, so what we're dealing with cellular respiration is three processes: glycolysis, the citric acid cycle, sometimes called the Krebs cycle, and the electron transport chain. And in these three processes, we're going to peel back the energy from glucose very slowly. Okay. Now, I like to use this strange analogy. You can move a car with a gallon of gasoline. Okay. If you explode that gasoline all at once, you can move the car maybe 75 feet. But if you use a fuel injection system and fire up that gasoline a tiny spritz at a time, you can get as much as 45, 50 miles a gallon in a decent vehicle. The body is going to do that with glucose. We're going to peel back the layers very, very carefully and pull all the energy from it that we can. The first of those steps is glycolysis. Break that word up. Glyco, as in glucose, lysis, like lysosome, is to split. Okay, so we're going to split glucose. The glucose is diffused into the cell. We're now in the cytosol, of that fluid of the cytoplasm, and we're going to split the glucose into 2,3 carbon pyruvate molecules. Okay, that's going to happen in basically two stages. Okay, so first of all, immediately notice here's our nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, our NAD. Okay, we're going to reduce that. That's going to carry some energy for us. Okay, so we have a process by which we're going to split this glucose into two pyruvate molecules. We're going to get from that then, okay, a little bit of ATP and charge up a couple of our electron carriers. Okay. Now, one of the crazy things about this glycolysis, Krebs cycle, glycolysis, Krebs cycle, electron transport chain, we know every step in the process. Okay, that is not necessary to memorize. And I think it would be necessary to have some respect for the fact that somebody went through each of these steps in the process and chemically figured out exactly what switches to what and what enzyme does that job. But in terms of understanding the big picture of cellular respiration, all of these different steps in the process are immaterial. Knowing that going from glucose to two molecules of pyruvate is about a 10-step process, that is necessary. Okay. So what we're dealing with, we have glucose splitting in two stages. Okay. Those two stages now are an energy investment portion and an energy payoff. Glucose is a pretty sturdy molecule. It's not just going to split apart by itself. So what you have now is you have an input of ATP necessary to get that glucose ready to split. So the first thing we have is our energy investment phase. Okay. Then we have our energy payoff. In other words, after putting in a little bit of energy, we're going to get some ATP produced from it. Remember the word phosphorylation. When something it has a phosphorus added to it, it's referred to as being phosphorylated. So the ATP that's produced in the energy payoff phase of glycolysis is going to happen from substrate level phosphorylation, which is different than what's going to happen later. We also get a couple of our NAD charged so it can carry some electrons. Okay, let's take a close look at that. So here is phase one, our energy investment. We've got to plug in a little bit of energy so that we can break this glucose into two pieces. Okay. Then once we get that done, phase two is the energy payoff, where not only do we charge up some NAD, but we also get some ATP made because of it. So our net gains here, glucose is split into two pyruvates. We've got 4 ATP formed, but we use 2 ATP in the process, so we get a net gain of 2 ATP, and we reduce 2 molecules of NAD+. So we've got 2 electron carriers at the end of the whole thing. Okay. Glycolysis, the start of the process of cellular respiration.